from anybody on the floor. Yes, Kevin.
Eddie, how hurt did you think Devin was at the end of the 10th round, and then the 11th and 12th? What did you think of what happened there?
I think that, a fighter sort of often says they weren't hurt. Look to me, I watched it back, looked like he got buzzed a little bit. Went back, Bill knows better because he was in the corner, but 11th round I thought he regrouped, and 12th round I thought he was absolutely fine, but by then he'd had the fight won, so it was just a case of coasting through the round. Interesting to hear Bill in an interview where I guess as a coach you sort of think, Devin, why did you want to trade up and get involved? And the answer was because he wanted to entertain and he wanted to close the show. So for 9 rounds he was absolutely perfect, or 8 rounds. I hardly gave Linares a round going into 8 and 9, but Linares did finish very well. Devin, I guess got buzzed. Linares also got buzzed at the end of 1 round when he started doing a little dance to pretend he wasn't buzzed, but this is what happens. Lomachenko got dropped against Jorge Linares, and no one really mentioned that, so I thought it was a near-on faultless performance.
Bill, Eddie, I have a question for both of you. If you guys can't land a fight against the likes of Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, whoever, at 135, would you then entertain moving up in weight?
These guys are the bosses, so they tell me what to do. But the way I see it is, there's unfinished business at 135 pounds. And actually, we had the conversation probably nearly 2 years ago, where it was like, if we can't get the fights at 35, we'll move up to 140 and chase big fights there. We've talked about Regis Prograis, Mikey Garcia, all these guys at 140 that I think are great fights. But when he became champion and those fights are there, and then 135 started becoming extremely hot, that's kind of like the money division at the moment. We know there's Josh Taylor who's undisputed, but for me, as long as Devin can continue to make 135 pounds safely, that's the division where you're going to see these mega fights. Because right now, Devin Haney against Teofimo Lopez, mega fight. Devin Haney against Ryan Garcia, mega fight. Devin Haney against Tank, mega fight. And if you move to 140, what are the mega fights?
Bill, what's your thoughts on your son staying at 135 a bit longer?
Oh, well, we had a great training camp. Devin is maturing. He's matured well beyond his years. Initially, we were, having a little bit of hiccups, him making the weight. But as he's gotten older, he's like I said, he's developed a maturity that he's eating like a champion. He's performing like a champion, both inside and outside the ring. And 135 was not a problem. And you see that he was strong the whole 12 rounds. So, I think it's, we appreciate that Eddie had gave us an opportunity to come over to the zone with him. We wanted to be the U.S.-based fighter that really represents the zone. When we came over, it was initially only Danny Jacobs and Tevin Farmer over here. We know that Canelo has come now, and several other big name fighters. But we want to carry the DAZN banner. A lot of the other promoters and networks were saying that Devin was going to get lost by coming to DAZN. But we felt like the new way of looking at fights and viewing fights was app-related, app-based, and DAZN gave us an opportunity. Of course, Devin is a pure boxer, but we also know that we want him to be a fan-friendly fighter as well. So going into it, we knew that it was going to be a time when we were going to man up and fight in that pocket against a clever, very experienced fighter in Jorge Linares. And what we wanted to do was back him up, and I think that we did a great job in that fight backing him up. But being that Devin did get hit with a shot, everyone would ask before, they would say, well, we wonder what would happen if he gets hit with a shot. And we never gave you guys a chance to see what would happen. So I hope that you guys are happy now. You see him get hit with a big shot, and you see him show the maturity that he shows, right? And what he told me in the back was, I said, was it a big shot? He says, well, Dad, sometimes you think that it's not a big shot, but it was really a big shot. He says, so what you have to react different to the shot than if you didn't get. So, you know what I mean? He showed his professionalism, right? And did what he needed to do. He gathered his gathered the census and came back out in the 11th round and got back to working him over.
Eddie, how confident are you that the fight can happen next with Lopez? And speaking of networks and things, will that not be an issue? Whether it would have to happen on ESPN, DAZN?
No, because I think one of the great things about being with DAZN is the respect they have for fighters and understanding that sometimes to make big fights you have to be flexible. So of course DAZN have invested a huge amount of money in Devin Haney, and it's all been worth every penny, by the way. And we would like to do that fight on DAZN. But if that fight has to land on ESPN pay-per-view, then we wouldn't stop Devin Haney. DAZN wouldn't stop Devin Haney because they see the future of Devin Haney. And if you have to make a move to fight on another platform to become that megastar because you can't get the fight otherwise, then that's what we'll have to look at. But the way we feel is that DAZN have the budget to make that fight, and we would like to do it here on this platform. Teofimo's been quite vocal about wanting that fight. I do believe he wants the fight, actually. I know Devin wants the fight because he told me 3 years ago he's ready for that fight. So that's the automatic fight to try and make this. I think that's the most likely of all. We were really disappointed that the Ryan Garcia fight never got made because he was mandatory for Devin Haney, and we hope he gets well soon and we hope we see him back in the ring. But I think you guys really gave him an easy ride, to be honest with you, in terms of not taking a Devin Haney fight. He boxed Luke Campbell in a final eliminator for Devin Haney. Right, that fight was huge, Haney against Garcia. He became mandatory and basically refused to fight Devin Haney. And it shouldn't have happened, in my opinion, especially with a fighter on, you talk about platforms and politics. There's guys on the same platform then. So I feel like Teofimo Lopez is the fight. There's also an elimination fight coming up between Jojo Diaz and Fortuna that will be an eventual mandatory. Good fight as well. I said to Bill, he's going to get better and better and better. He's 22 years of age, but they'll take these fights now. But he's not going to stop improving. He's going to get stronger, he's going to get faster, he's going to get cleverer. But he also wants those big fights. I'm just so pleased that we managed to deliver him a fight like that tonight, and you got to see that he is an elite fighter rather than us just saying it.
On a scale of rate his performance tonight, and if not 10, why wouldn't it be 10?
Well, I mean, that's one for coach. But as a fan, I'll give him 9 because I thought he was faultless. And then, like Bill said, he just tried to entertain a little bit more. He stood in the pocket, got a little bit reckless. And by the way, not just talking about the 10th round, he took a number of big shots in that fight when they were trading up, especially with left hooks. And I thought he took them very, very well. But I thought it was a 9 out of 10, just purely for the fact that if he was probably a little bit smarter, he would have just probably won every round. But it wouldn't have been as exciting. And that coach probably don't want it to be that exciting. Trainers never do. But fact is, everybody who watched that fight loved it.
Yeah, it was a great fight. 10 performance.
Bill.
Okay, can I ask you a quick question? A lot of it is public perception, right? What the public thinks. And when Devin got rocked like that, I think a lot of people were, holy fuck, and he almost went, down face first when he walked to the corner there. So do you think that...
Well, that's a slight exaggeration, Kevin.
Do you think that hurts him at all, when people see that?
Well, I think I've watched it back. He got hit with a shot, he buzzed, he walked to the corner. He was nowhere near falling over or going down. He put his hands on the rope, he sat down on his stool, he took instructions, he looked up, he was actually watching the replay on the screen. And but people don't talk about when Linares dropped Lomachenko. Haney wasn't dropped, he was buzzed, clearly. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that will make people think, oh, okay, there's a chink. Because otherwise, without that chink, without that 10th round, really, everyone would be sitting there saying, that was a masterclass performance.
And that's what I wanted to follow up with is, I actually tweeted in the 9th round, I thought this is the best Devin Haney's looked in his career. And so given that, I wonder, does that sour it at all? Because you're having to defend it, and you're bringing up a knockdown of 3 years ago, and instead of talking about what he did, especially in the first 9 rounds of the fight.
But all I'm saying is Jorge Linares has great power. And when you get hit clean, flush on the chin, actually, at a time as well, when he was couldn't actually see the shot because he was moved out of the way and he took a clean right hand. So, I think that what he actually showed was he can get hit, he can take big shots, and he can recover. And the WBC lightweight champion of the world.
Devin, just, can you talk about the 10th round specifically? I mean, we were talking about a great performance for you, but what, in the 10th round, describe what happened, and do you feel that marred your overall performance? The fact that you had such a good performance and that little stumble back to the corner, did that mar it at all?
You know, this is boxing. You know, if you go in there and you think that you're not going to get hit with any punches, you know, through a 12-round fight, and you know, it's unbelievable, especially against a guy who's been in there in the biggest fights, who dropped the guy who's the best defensive fighter, he has the best legs, the best ring IQ, Loma. He went in there, he hit me with a good shot, and I showed grit. I showed that, you know, I still came out stronger after that, and I showed that I'm a true champion.
Devin, what will you remember about this particular fight when it's all said and done?
I don't know. I gotta go back and watch the fight. You know, I'm thankful, you know, for this fight. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful, you know, that I got to showcase my skills at the top level, and we'll see.
Can you talk about, this fight was supposed to be about being a test, right? You wanted to be tested in this fight. Can you just talk about that? That's what you got out of this fight?
Of course, you know, I knew that this fight was going to be a test. The world knew that it was going to be a test. This is by far the best fighter that I've fought, and this is the guy that dropped Loma. Let's not forget about that. You know, he went there, he dropped Luke Campbell. Let's not forget about that. You know, every guy that knocked him out, he probably hurt him besides, I would say Cano. And I just think Cano caught him with a good shot early, and he couldn't get back from it. But other than that, you know, the guys that knocked him out, he dropped him or hurt them.
On the other hand,
they took punishment in the process. Look at my face.
Yeah.
This right here is from a headbutt.
On the other hand of that, though, I mean, Eddie, you said before the fight, like, hey, we'll be knocking on your doors. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez. All these guys punch harder than Jorge Linares.
Are you sure about that? Because let's just think about it. Jorge Linares dropped Loma. Did Tio? So how do you know that he hits harder? You don't.
Were you surprised by Linares' power at all? Were you surprised by Linares' power at all?
Early on, when I was walking him down, he didn't have any type of power. I didn't feel any power in the beginning of the fight. But late, I was surprised that he carried power late in the fight, but he just showed that he was a veteran. But his power wasn't what I thought it was. Honestly, I thought that he would hit much harder than he did.
To that point, which I was going to ask about that, because early on he dominated for so long, and then out of nowhere, he showed signs of life over those last several rounds. As you say, you were surprised. Did it not necessarily throw you off your game or get you out of your rhythm, but were you stunned mid-round at any time, any of those last few rounds?
No, I wasn't. If you look at if you look in the, I want to say the 11th round, I still came out strong after that. So it wasn't what you guys thought it was.
Devin, you fought tonight through some adversity and fought in maybe the most entertaining way that people have seen you certainly against a high level of
Yes.
opponent. And then the fans booed. Did that surprise you?
No, it didn't surprise me. At the end of the day, I stayed focused. You know, of course, the fans, you know, they want an entertaining fight. So, you know, sometimes, you know, they may boo or whatever the case may be. But I went in there and got the job done, and I thank God Allah for the victory tonight.
Devin, you know, talked with Eddie about that big fight everyone wants to see with Lopez. He says, obviously he wants to fight on his own, but network's not an issue if that's what it comes down to. Is that the fight you still want next, and any message to Teofimo Lopez?
Of course, I want that fight next. You know, I want to become the real undisputed king of the lightweight division. I want to make the biggest fights happen. This is the first of many. So let's do it next.
Devin,
Any message to Teofimo?
Let's do it next.
Devin, I asked this of your father, and I know that you want the big fight, but if you can't get it next, I'm just wondering, do you know how your body feels better than everybody else? How many more fights do you think you're willing to do at 35, or can you do this?
Honestly, if it's not the big fights at 135, then I'm gonna go up. It's no point for me to stay at 135 if I can't get the big fights. But my main focus is doing whatever it takes to make these big fights happen, and I think that will happen soon.
Devin, talk to us about the discipline, the being able to remain poised throughout such a young age. You show so much skill, so much ring IQ. you know, just 22. Talk to us about that, especially against a high level fighter.
That was part of the game plan. I knew that it was possible for him to, you know, land some good shots in the fight. I ran up. I'm not sure exactly on the scorecards, but I heard that I ran up in the first 9 rounds. If you look at the fight with Loma, before the knockout, I think Linares was winning. I think he might have been up a round or 2. So I just showed a different skill set that I'm on a different level.
I mean, you just mentioned Loma. He's fighting at the end of the month. Well, down the next month, I'm sorry. He didn't give you that fight. Would you be willing to give him that fight should he be successful against Nakatani?
Of course, I want to fight the best fighters in the world. I'm not ducking or dodging nobody. I want to make the biggest fights happen. Whoever is next, I'll be ready for it, and let's do it.
And one of the topics going into this fight, Devin, is that Linares had never been outpointed in a fight, and 5 of his losses have come by way of knockout. You're the first person to actually beat him by decision. So how does that feel?
That just showed my boxing ability. That showed that, you know, I can outbox Linares. Nobody ever outboxed Linares. Nobody ever ran up rounds like I did on Linares. So it was either Linares was winning the fight and they knocked him out, you know, because they had to knock him out, or they just caught him with a big shot like Cano did and you know, put the pressure on him. If you look at the DeMarco fight, he was winning the DeMarco fight. You look at the Loma fight, he was winning the Loma fight. Who else? I can't even think of the other guys that fought.
Just to throw this out there, you know, we talked about Ryan Garcia and Lopez. Gervonta Davis has the belt. Can you do business with Al if that fight presents itself? He has a fight in June. So if Lopez, you know, Bob couldn't get Lopez.
What belt does he have? You said
Gervonta. Would you consider him at all?
You said he has a belt.
Well, he has whatever you call it.
7 years, about 7.
Proven.
I think that, you know, there's no, the great thing about this situation is there is no network problems. And that's generally an excuse as to why a fight can't get made. So there are no excuses. So if Al Heyman wants to make an offer to us and Bill and Devin to fight Tank on pay-per-view, no problem. It's a massive pay-per-view fight. You know, if someone wants an offer from us, a sizable offer to do it on DAZN, no problem. So I think he's in such a great position because there are really no excuses as to why one of those fights shouldn't happen. And that's when I talked earlier about how I feel you guys gave Ryan Garcia a huge pass, because where's the excuse for that one? Same network, mandatory challenger. And it was just like, no, that's just not going to happen. Why? Why not? You know, I think there needs to be, people need to be more accountable if those kind of fights don't happen. So now, Tank, Teofimo, there's no excuse.
Who do you think, Devin, is the best of the 30, other than yourself? Who is the best opponent for you at 35? Is it Teo, or is there somebody else you think is better?
All those guys are good. You know, I can't just sit here and just lie to the media and not lie to the fans and say that all those guys aren't good. Honestly, I think all those guys are good, and all of them will be a huge fight. But I really want belts right now. I want to become the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. So I mean, the one that I will want the most is Teo.
And Devin, I want to get your thoughts on the WBC franchise confusion. Ring Magazine recognizes you as a legitimate champion. WBC President Racer Suleiman has said that Teofimo is undisputed, so there's a lot of confusion. Does that all that confusion make you more motivated just to fight Teofimo and just decide once and for all?
I just want to thank God for this victory tonight. You know, I feel like I put on a good performance. You know, I want to thank the fans, all the media that came out. You know, thank my team. You know, we worked hard in camp. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, all my team, thank you guys. You know, I want to thank my dad, of course. You know, my dad, he's been here, you know, day in and day out. We've been working. He stayed focused with me through the process. Thank my promoter, of course, Eddie Hearn, Elliot, and, you know, Grant, Elvis Grant, you know, those guys for, you know, protecting my hands. Ben Davison, you know, my whole team. You know, we stay focused. Church, of course, you know, church has been keeping me motivated day in and day out. My brother Little, my security, my girl, of course, Jania, she's, you know what I'm saying, she's been sacrificing with me. I haven't saw her in about 8 weeks, so, you know, I'm so thankful, you know, for this victory. And I look forward to, you know, showing the world I'm the best fighter.
Will you talk about that relationship with you and your father, working together? How has that made you guys even closer, or has it?
Of course, me and my dad, like I said before the fight, we get closer and closer every day. Our bond is something crazy. Like sometimes I think that he's in my head. He knows what I'm thinking. It's unbelievable. But I want to thank my dad. Just for everything. Without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Oh, I can't forget about my cameraman Johnny. Man, the whole team. You know what I'm saying? I'm so thankful for all you guys. Where Eddie came. Oh man, I'm thankful. Frank, I see you back there. Thank you, Frank. Frank the bank.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your support and thanks for coming this week. And we hope to see you very soon. Thank you very much.